There are many Muslim apologists that are attempting to say that Islam is a beautiful religion for women. I got to level with you. No, it's not. Go to Saudi Arabia. Women don't have equal rights. They're not allowed to drive. There are some now that are staging protests and are attempting to drive, but they get into legal trouble for that. Women don't have equal rights. You know, it's interesting that here in North America, if you have a Christian denomination that declares that they believe that the man is the spiritual head of the woman, and I understand that that can be controversial in today's society, whatever, but if you as a Christian declare the man is the spiritual head of the woman, but he is to love his wife as Christ loves the church, but he is the spiritual head, oh, you get the feminist groups just going crazy, don't we? Oh, that's so backwards. That's just so whatever. Yet nary a peep from them about Islam and its treatment of women. And this is really going to be uncomfortable. The beating of wives that takes place very commonly in Islam. The beating of wives. Now, thankfully, not so much in North America. But you need to know that especially throughout the Middle East, it is very common. I interviewed a lady on my show just a few months ago. She spent 5 years living in Afghanistan under Sharia law. And of the hundreds and hundreds of women that she got to meet and she got to know over those 5 years, I asked her, what percentage would you say were beaten by their husbands, sometimes at least? And she said, what do you mean, what percentage? It was 100%. It's just a common, everyday part of life. Some beat more than others, some not very often, but I never once met a woman under strict Sharia law in the Middle East that wasn't at least at some point or at some time beaten by her husband. You see, folks, what a lot of people don't know is that the Quran actually instructs that you can beat your wife. Surah 434. Now, there are 3 steps to go through. You don't just beat your wife at first. If you're finding displeasure with your wife, if she's causing you grief, okay, if she's not listening to you, first, the Quran does say you're to try to persuade her with kind words, and that's good. I'm glad to hear that. If that doesn't work, the second option is you withhold the marriage beds. You sleep beds apart. And I'm thinking, I can hear all the women out there, oh yeah, that'll hurt me, okay? But then if that doesn't work, then the third option is you beat her. Now, there are guidelines. There are Sharia law guidelines for beating. You're not to beat your wife in sensitive areas like the face or the breast. The mizwak or the rod or the stick that you use has to be a certain flexibility. It has to have a certain rigidity to it. It has to be a certain thickness or whatever. But the bottom line is it's beating your wife. And we hear nary a word from the feminist groups about this.